we can use non-musical phenomena to help us create some music. And we do that by mapping the non-musical phenomena onto some musical parameter. What we're going to do today is I'm going to get the shape of this mountain, which I got from a royalty-free picture of some mountain in Iceland. See this, I'm tracing out this curve. That's going to become our pitch contour. I'm going to map that to a rhythm that I built. And this rhythm is what we call a sentence construction. It consists of a motive, so a distinctive pattern, a repetition of that motive, then a little part of that motive repeated a bunch of times, in this case this bar 2 repeated twice. Finally we have a cadence, which is the motive repeated again but slowing down at the end, so we have agogic emphasis. We're going to use Sibelius to build our melody in the end, and we're going to use GIMP to do our image manipulation. So here's my picture of Iceland. When we choose the mountain, we want to make sure that the extent of the mountain line here goes across the entire image, and it's got a lot of variation, so it's got a nice contour. What we need to do is to cut it out so that it will correspond to this little bar grid I've written here. So this is bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, bar 4, bar 5, bar 6, bar 7, bar 8. Beat 1 is here, it's invisible. Beat 2, 3, 4, then the next bar, beat 1. And as you can see, I've put a treble staff there. So that's going to help us to map this contour to some music. And it will be a melodic phrase with a sentence structure. This is 1200 by 200 pixels, and I've got a bit of a gap here for the treble clef and the time signature. So I'm going to turn this part of the picture where we've got the bottom and the top of the mountain. I'm going to turn that into an image which is slightly smaller, so it'll be 1100 by 200. So there'll be 100 pixels down here for this stuff to be in there. So what do? I select the rectangle tool and I find the part of the picture where everything fits in nicely. So the bottom of the mountain range down here, the top up here. So I can copy that. And now that I've got that, I can create a new image. I go to File, Create from Clipboard. Because I've just copied that part of the picture into the clipboard, I can use that to make a new image file. And there it is. So at this point we should save it, but I'm not going to. Now, it's the wrong size. I just said before we wanted it to be 1100 by 200. So what we have to do is we have to go to the image menu and we have to scale it. So I want to disconnect the X and Y dimensions. I want to make this 1100 and I want to make this 200. And there we go. So now we've got a new image which is the right size. So there we have our 1100 by 200 image. Okay, so now we're going to get this mountain image and we're going to paste it into mapping staff blank. We're going to move it so that the end of the image will be here. It should be the same size. So I'm going to select it. I could select all, but I'm going to actually do it like this. I'm going to copy that. And then I'm going to go in here. I'm going to create a new layer. There it is. And now I'm going to paste in my mountain. Now it's not the right place. This end has to be at the end. So I make sure I've got my moving tool and I move it to the end. And that will do. Okay, very good. At this point, I should save this as another name. So you should do that. Now, what we need to do is add another new layer. This will also be transparent. And what we're going to do in this layer is we're going to trace the outline of the mountains. That will become our pitch contour. So we select the pen tool, we make the size 2, and we'll make it black. All right, selected the pen tool, and now what we can do, we're on our new layer here, and we're going to just trace it in. We don't have to be super exact, but I'll try and be as exact as possible. I'm doing it in small little bursts in case I make a mistake, and I can Control Z and not go all the way back to the beginning. And I'll just do this. People who know how to use these sorts of programs have some sneaky shortcuts which would enable this to be quicker, but I'm not going to do that because this will do the job, and it's quicker just to do this than to learn new techniques if we're only going to do this very occasionally. And there we are. At that point, we should save it. Now, we don't really need our mountain anymore, so we can get rid of it. We do that by just making it invisible. And now we can see that there is our new pitch contour superimposed over the top of our staff. Now, what I will do, I will minimize that, minimize this, and I'll bring back my rhythm. There it is. Now, we know what this rhythm should be, so this is bar 1, bar 1, bar 2, bar 2, bar 3, bar 3, etc. Now, the first beat, as I said, is somewhere around here. So what we want to do is we want to mark in the rhythm. So what I'll do, I'll go and I'll use a different brush. So I've still got my pen tool. I'll make it a different color, like red. So now it's red. And let's make it a different shape. Let's use the star. It's way too small, so let's make it some size like 15. Okay, so now when I draw it, there it is, it will appear. So our first one, we have a crotchet, and then we have 2 quavers, then crotchet, crotchet, etc. So 4 quavers, then a minim. We can be a little bit artistic about this. I'm just trying to put them approximately where I think is the right place. This is an idea generating system, so we don't have to be super accurate. Now I have to do the 3rd bar. Okay, another crotchet and 2 minim, 2 quavers, and another 2 crochets, then 4 of these quavers, and then a minim, quavers again, minim, I'm going to make that a little bit higher. And now we need to do the cadence. Okay, so now we've got the pitches on our staff mapped out to the rhythm. So now what we need to do is just read it off. So let's go to our Sibelius here. Obviously I should save this as a new file. So I'm going to say the first note to C, and then I'm going to interpret this as we go through. Okay. That's an E and an F, I think. And this one is an E. Then, actually, it's two E's. I'm using my artistic license to work out these notes. And then next bar. C, another C, then that's got to be a C again. Oh, that should be an F. Oops. So here we have our Iceland song. Okay, not too bad. Now, obviously, being composers, we can just use that as a starting point, and we can modify it whichever way we like. We could put it into a different key. I could impose a different key signature on it. I can change different notes. After all, it's supposed to be music, not purely a mapping exercise. But this is one way where we can generate ideas that we otherwise might not get. And we've taken a mountain and turned it into a melody.